Welcome to the Movie Facts Show. I am your host, the Cinema Man, where I talk about movie facts that you might not know about your favorite films. Coming at you live from Indian Trail. So, let's get started with our first fact. To the show, everybody. Today is the 10th episode of this season. I want to thank everyone for listening and support for this podcast. And today's episode, we're going to talk about X-Men. That's right, the movie X-Men that came out in the year 2000. Marvel comic book writers and chief editors Jerry Conway and Roy Thomas wrote an X-Men screenplay in the year 1984 when Orion Pictures held an option on the film rights, but development stalled when Orion had financial troubles throughout the year 1989 and 1990. Stan Lee and Chris Claremont were in discussions with Carolco Pictures for an X-Men adaptation with James Cameron as producer and Catherine Bigelow directing. A story treatment was written by Bigelow, with Bob Hoskins being considered as Wolverine and Angela Bassett as Storm, but the deal fell apart when Stanley piqued Cameron's interest in the Spider-Man film. Carolco went bankrupt, and the film rights reverted to Marvel in December of 1992. Marvel discussed selling the property to Columbia Pictures, to no avail. Meanwhile, Avi Arad produced the X-Men animated series for Fox Kids, and now has a successful sequel called X-Men 97. I highly recommend you guys go check that out. Andrew Kevin Walker was brought in to write the script. In his version, X-Men Xavier recruited Wolverine into the X-Men, was also considered Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, Beast, and Warren Worthington III, versus a Brotherhood of Mutants, which consisted of Magneto, Toad, Blob, Juggernaut, and Sabretooth, trying to conquer New York, while Henry, Peter, Gyrich, and Boulevard Trask attacked the X-Men with 8 3-foot-tall giant sentinel robots. The script focused on Wolverine and Cyclops' rivalry, but the idea was turned down. So in 1996, Ed Solomon began working on a new script, and Brian Singer was brought in to direct the movie. Russell Crowe was the first choice to play Wolverine, but he turned it down. So if you think about it, Russell was already in Marvel playing Zeus in Thor Love and Thunder, and now Kraven's dad in Kraven the Hunter. So instead he recommended his good old buddy Hugh Jackman. Tom Cruise was paid to be Wolverine, but he couldn't, so he turned down the role because he was filming Mission Impossible 2 at the same time. Hugh Jackman was casted within 3 weeks into filming, based on a successful audition. Well, that wraps up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Join me next week when we'll be talking about Bad Boys with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. This is the Cinema Man signing off. Good night.